Kabuye Fred Chewalabye, a resident of Machindye, is one of the many tenants living on the Kabaka land who have faced a multitude of challenges resulting from not having official documentation of land ownership.
Nkolera wano emirimu gyange egy'okuddukanya pulojekiti eno nga bw'ogiraba ey'essomero lino. Nina ekigendererwa kinene nnyo ekyokukulaakulanya ekitundu kino, naye nga nfunamuko okubuuzibwa obumu kubanga sirina kyapa, ate bwe ngenda mu banka okufuna looni nkalubirizibwa bwe nsabayo ssente yasabye miliyoni 3 bampa miliyoni 5 bangamba sirina kyapa.
Chewalabye and his peers have faced challenges cutting across not knowing the actual value of their land, while others live in fear of eviction in cases of multiple ownership claims. These are some of the many reasons that Buganda Land Board, BLB, a Buganda Kingdom-owned company that was set up to caretake of Kabaka's land, has been trying to solve over a period of time.
Land Board is a company of Buganda Kingdom with a mandate to manage all the land which is owned by the kingdom. Historically, it was set up in the 60s under the federal arrangement, when that land which was being governed by the Queen was returned to the kingdom. And then the 1966 crisis, it was also abolished with it. And then in 1993, when the government of Uganda restored the kingdoms, and in that parliamentary act which returned the properties to the kingdom, the Kabaka of Buganda set up this body to manage all those assets, land and buildings which had been returned to the kingdom. And in the middle of this year, it was incorporated as a body corporate to work within the laws of the Companies Act in the Republic of Uganda. That's basically, it has got fiscal planners, it has got surveyors, it has got lease managers, and also it is linked to the grassroots. All that to ensure that we can plan for the land with the fiscal planners and the various municipal authorities and local government agencies. Then we have got the surveyors. I think currently we've got the biggest surveying unit in the country. We were the first to computerize the land system in the country. The government has done, but we are the first to do it, and we applaud its efforts, and we are looking forward to linking it to its systems. But that is based on ensure that we reduce fraud in land management. We are now carrying out the land banking activity, whereby people can return land in exchange of getting titles. And this is something we are now trying to promote, because not everybody can have money to pay for the titles.
Basing on the research made and borrowing from the rich experience, Buganda Land Board found it fitting to carry out a mass registration of all tenants on Kabaka land. The registration process called for documentation of proof of ownership, including a sketch map to the actual location of the plot, payment of 1.2 million shillings for registration, verification and surveying of the said plot of land, a filled-in registration form at any of Buganda Land Board branches, and 2 passport-size photos of the said landowner.
But all that we are trying to do. So there are quite a number of innovations, unless we did the massive survey and massive registration, which was done at just a nominal fee. But that was to ensure that people get their certificate of tenure, people can get their certificates, and they know that's where they belong. They now have got in our system.
So many people have sales agreements that are not authentic. So the exercise is geared at aligning these documents to be acceptable to society. So we've come up with something we called a Balua Intongoli. And these are largely 2 letters. One confirming the ownership of the Shibanja, one that has been verified and authenticated by the landlord according to the law. And then another is one that allows the smooth transaction or the smooth passing over of this estate from one person to another, again in accordance to the law. So a Balu Entongol is literally a certified sales agreement, okay? or the other part of it is a consent by the landlord allowing for the passing over of the interest from one party to another.
The registration process called for documentation of proof of ownership, including a sketch map to the actual location of the plot, payment of 1.2 million shillings for registration, verification and surveying of the said plot of land, a filled-in registration form at any of Buganda Land Board branches, and 2 passport-size photos of the said landowner.
Buganda Land Board carried out a mass registration exercise. It began in June, and it doesn't mean that way back we were not registering. No, we were registering, but this was just a promotion. Its intention is to ensure that the tenants on the Kabaka's land get official documentation pertaining their bibanja or land. These certificates have a unique identifier. They have a serial number. This serial number becomes the file number. There are 2. One is for the client and one remains on the file. What does this mean? This means that our verification process becomes easier. When a client is sent to the bank or to the financial institution, we check for the photo. Is what we have on the soft copy the same as what we have in the system? And is it the same as what is being given to the bank?
In the campaign to mainstream land ownership on Kabaka's land, to clean the ownership documentation process, to legitimize transactions done on Kabaka's land, to weed out fraud, and to improve the land value, Buganda Land Board also found it necessary to aid Kabaka's tenants in acquiring loans and economically improve their plots. With such a thought, a lease access financing initiative LAFI scheme was bred of the BLB in the year 2010. Buganda Land Board got into a partnership with 9 financial institutions including Tropical Bank, Ugaford, Post Bank, Opportunity Bank, Housing Finance Bank, Pride Microfinance, Finance Trust Bank, Let She Go Uganda, and the LAFI Scheme Pioneer Finance Institution, the Centenary Bank.
Been working with the Buganda Land Board over the last 3 years, and I must say that the partnership has been of immense contribution to growth of our loan portfolio. We've had scores beginning here from as low as 5 million with Chibanja, absolutely unregistered security, but out of this partnership they have been able to graduate their loan amounts, and actually I must say that currently even our biggest borrower in the industry in the bank has his security under Buganda Land Board, so I mean it's a big plus for us.
Centenary Bank signed an agreement with Buganda Land Board to process land titles for people who are on Milo land. This is mostly Kabaka's land in Kampala areas, and these people had land but they didn't have titles. So Buganda Land Board decided to give leases to these people to emphasize their land tenure system. Centenary was enthusiastic to join the relationship because these are our clients, these are micro clients, and this is within our mission to empower our low clients who are having bibanja, who want to access money in the bank but don't have titles. So this came in handy because there was a lot of bureaucracy. The clients themselves could not go by themselves to acquire titles. So we welcomed this and we joined Buganda Land Board and we signed an agreement in 2010.
Today, the Land Access Financing Initiative LAFI boasts of having raised 2 billion shillings raised as land premium and other registration facilitation related fees, and a total of 331 land titles made and issued to the different tenants.
We've seen clients get transformed from one level to another. When they get the security, they get more committed to the bank, to the land. they're more settled, they're more contented. And to us as lenders also, this is a big advantage.
I've done a lot of progress at the school, being assisted by Opportunity Bank with the help of Lease financing facility, which has enabled me put up a number of infrastructure at the school. The school is on Kabaka's land, which Kabaka's land I've already secured a lease, and the bank has taken the lease as security for the loan. I've always been helped. When I approach Buganda Land Board, they don't hesitate to write the letter of undertaking to the bank, and I'm in plans of acquiring some more money from the bank to put up more infrastructure and to develop the school. And Lease financing has made it possible for me to improve on the infrastructure of the school, which is very good. I encourage the people, all people who sit on Kabaka's land, to take advantage of this facility.
Okay. My name is Solomon Namvule. I am a social worker. I work in Canada and was born and raised in Uganda. So I'm a Ugandan. BLB helped me to acquire my land title through Centenary Bank. It was kind of an easy process for me because I didn't have to deal with a lot of people. The bank submitted my application on my behalf and they received my title on my behalf. So to me it was a smooth process compared to what all my friends are saying.
As for the tenants, process to access the LAFI scheme has been simplified into 5 major steps. Step 1. The client is introduced to BLB through an introduction letter from the finance institution. Then BLB responds with an inspection, verification of the ownership of the Chibanja, and an assessment of the potential fees for title acquisition, all contained in its letter to the finance institution.
Recommendation letter, My name is Prosekina Kalyango. I'm a LAFI officer. What I normally do, I receive clients who wish to obtain titles, but they cannot get a lump sum of that money to process a title, and they would wish their financial institutions to help them through the process. So when I receive a client, I have to ensure the client holds a file with Buganda Land Board. If that is done, or if the client does not hold a file with Buganda Land Board, I take the client through the file opening process and then refer that client to the respective branch to finish up the whole process. So when that is done, the file is sent to the survey office and surveying is done.
Mwami Bone Chigundu wasaba okuwandiisa ekibanja kyo ne Buganda Land Board. Naye ng'enteekateeka ya Buganda Land Board bweri, nze omulambuzi w'ebibanja bw'omala okusaba okuwandiisa ekibanja nina okujja ku ground okukakasa obwannannyini bwo obw'ekibanja. Tulina foomu gye tukozesa mu inspection eno gye tuyita building inspection form, era nja kukusaba okkirize waawo wajjuza forms ziri n'eno tugijjuze olw'okwanguya omulimu guno okutambula obulungi. Foomu eno erimu ebitundu 2, ng'ekitundu ekisooka kikwata ku bwannannyini bwo obw'ekibanja, ate ekitundu ekirala ne kikwata ku nkulaakulana eri ku kibanja kyo.
Tukola ebyokuwandiisa ebibanja by'abantu abali ku ttaka lya Ssaabasajja Kabaka mu butongole bwange. Nze nsooka okusayininga ku biwandiiko n'okusemba omuntu oyo mukakasa nti ennannyini kibanja ng'amaze okumanya nti abaliraanwa bakkaanyiza n'ekigenda okukolebwa era bamuteerako emikono.
Step 3. The bank remits funds to BLB account and gives notice of credit. Then, the land title is processed and handed over to the finance institution for mortgage registration. And finally, the client services the loan and repossesses the title deed.
When the survey is done, based on the acreage of the plot and the location of the plot, because each location has a different capital value, we make an assessment of the fees of how much the client would require to process a title. After that is done, we make an assessment later, send it to the bank, and then the bank carries on its process. When the bank approves the loan, it credits Buganda Land Board's account, and we continue the whole titling process. So when the client's money is sent, we follow up with the process until the title is done. So when the title is done, we give it to the bank. When the client finishes up the loan, then the client can get the title.
Services and guidance on the LAFI product and the other BLB operations can be given from the Buganda Land Board headquarters located at Masengere in Langemengo or at any of our branches in Nansana, Machindye, Mpiji, Mitiana, Wudu, Chibuga, Chagwe and Ndeje.
This program has spread in the various rural areas, and we have over 10 financing institutions involved in this kind of financial support. The financing institutions are able now to extend facilities to people lawfully.
Our objectives as Buganda Land Board will always be to constantly regulate and update Bibanja owners, to serve those who want to prove ownership and availability of Bibanja, to facilitate the acquisition of security of tenure, to assist tenants to access financial services, to reduce risks for financial institutions as they disburse loans, and foster financial inclusion in Buganda Kingdom.
This is largely a tripartite agreement between the financial institutions, Buganda Land Board, and the tenants on Kabaka's land. The arrangement is such that tenants on Kabaka's land can have a guarantee of security of tenure. Buganda Land Board offers to give them land titles on their pieces of land or holdings. The financial institutions come in to provide financial assistance in this acquisition of land titles, and then ultimately the clients walk away with the land title. So it's a tripartite having benefits to all three.
Now to extend facilities to people lawfully. Lawfully. Actually, we are engaging even those others which are not on board. It's against the law to engage in an activity whereby there is a change of ownership in the status of land without the consent of the landlord. So we are trying to help them to do things lawfully. Actually, a big number of the institutions who have loaned funds, not only to people in Kabaka's but elsewhere, where people are just holding Bibanja agreements, and the landlords have not consented with these agreements. These are loans at risk because it is illegal. So you cannot, because in case that person defaults, that bank is supposed to sell that land. So how do you sell something which you never bought? So that's why we are engaging that kind of dialogue with them, so that they can transact lawfully, so that everybody is protected. Two, they are able to have that critical mass, because we have got many people, over 5 million people on Kabaka's land. So this is just a critical mass coming to them. But also now to the tenants on Kabaka's land, they also are able to participate in these activities willingly. And they are given very good terms, and they know they are protected, we are involved. So they have got that kind of access, because now they can go in, we can say that we know this person who is the owner of this land, and the process is made easier. And actually it cuts down on the commission they would give in the process, because they have got a direct interface between the Buganda Land Board and the banks. So there are no middlemen. And this makes the